There we go. And let's get this popping, everybody. Let's get this popping. The record has started, but let me get the intro music. All right. Welcome once again, everybody. It's the second episode of American Day Soccer with the good sir, James, Eddy, and me, Andy Jerell Jones, and Slugger Jerell's with it right here, live and direct with this great Bostonian sir. Sir, how are you doing on this afternoon? Summertime heat wave again up there.
It's pretty good. It's actually starting to cool down a little bit, but I can't wait for it to rain.
Well, that rain would be certainly appreciated. And rain is certainly appreciated for Aston Villa, who got their rain on. But for people watching this, that we will talk about the Premier League's drop zone and also the top four drama that will be on season finale Sunday later on this week. Because our main focus on this discussion, and we hope, the main thing will be the Ballon d'Or being canceled out of nowhere in terms of awards and whatnot. I didn't see that coming. And if we have time, whatever, talk about who would be leading in 2020's CONCACAF Player of the Year, because I think that it could be like a decent debate now abroad, but I still think there is one clear choice for who it will be. But right now, me and James going to get right into the whole discussion about, out of nowhere, the Ballon d'Or being canceled. Well, there will be no Ballon d'Or winner for 2020 thanks to the COVID-19. And, I mean, is this something where it'll be like, there'll be no MVP, NBA MVP.
Right.
NFL MVP, or MLB, if it ever happens, or whatever the season ever gets going. NFL season and so on. It's just something that's staggering. So, James, what is your whole thoughts when you heard the first wave of news before we get into who we think, would have been the leader, would have won the award, or because there's still a lot to be determined?
So to get to your point that you were talking about it being canceled directly out of nowhere, I think the irony about this entire situation is we have a sport like hockey, which is known for being all over the place. They're listing all of the finalists for all of their awards this coming week. And World Football Leagues were kind of at the same point that they were same point that hockey was once the seasons were going to be over. So it's not like they didn't have enough information. They didn't have enough stats. They didn't have enough information. Yeah, they just didn't. They had enough to be able to say who the person would be. Now, to say that the last couple of weeks were rushed in kind of made it difficult to determine who that person would be. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much more of a body of work that there is an ability to be able to say who the person would be this year. So it just was very interesting and unique that they made this decision and they kind of blamed it on COVID. It's weird. I want to know who would the person be? Like, was there someone who was a clear and obvious favorite and there was someone who might have been able to win it because their stats were close to this person who the Ballon d'Or, who the association wanted to give it to, and they're just like, no, we can't. We're not even going to begin to have that discussion. We're just going to cancel the entire trophy instead of trying to think about it.
Yeah. Now, before I say my comments on this and whatnot, and then we get into that, the Organizers Award, the Groupe L'Équipe, up in France, because they canceled a lot of things this year.
Yes, they did.
The rest of the league on season, and a very fascinating thing. They announced the saving of money that the conditions for the prize to take place had not been met. There will be no edition in 2020 because it turns out, after thoughtful consideration, that all the conditions are not met. We believe that such a singular year cannot and should not be treated as an ordinary one. From a sports perspective, 2 months out of the 11 generally required to form an opinion and decide who should lift the trophies represent far too little to gauge and judge, without forgetting that the other games are played or will be played in unordinary conditions, behind closed doors, with 5 replacements, Champions League final, 8 played in a single game. And basically the whole rest, the gist of it, even that, this the final paragraph I read here. Finally, the equity that prevails for this honorary title will not be warranted, especially when it comes to accounting in preparation. All the award seekers will not be in the same boat, some having seen their seasons cut short. Great point. Therefore, how can we establish a fair comparison to avoid overly convoluted calculations and projections? We chose the least bad of the options. You know, that last paragraph, I'm glad I read that because they make a great point, and a point that honestly I think no one can refute. Because if you're someone realistically from and this is something where it'd be unfair to those that aren't in the big five leagues or whatnot. Because Brazil Jerell, shout out to Gabriel Barbosa, but they'll never be considered for Ballon d'Or. So then we take it down to the UEFA Big Five leagues. I call it this. I love the branding. UEFA Big Five leagues and whatnot. Ligue 1 has decided season wisely in my mind to cancel because if you see in Spain, they've had an uptick in Corona actually on the beach or whatnot. And maybe a factor in that is because La Liga is back and trying to have a return to normalcy. But I mean, it's like they've been ravished or whatever like that. And I don't know if Italy, they've been very strict on their shutdown and everything. In Germany, they've been, as always, strict with how they could be. But then, you know, all the German people have common sense too. And that's how they, you know, they still had cases of COVID going through like the Bundesliga 2 teams before they restarted. So it was a thing where I was like kind of like, why are you guys even reopening where it's something where the thing is spreading, you know, all the way? I mean, like obviously you handle it better than all of us in America, but you know, but it's still y'all at risk too or whatever, right? And they really still put themselves in a little bit of risk or whatever. So within England, Lord, we're not even going to go there with that. Well, basically, I'll be shocked or whatnot, and I need to see when those Liverpool title celebrations happened that there was no spike there. So, you know, Ligue 1 France, they decided to cut season out. And PSG, you could say at the time, was there to me, I could say they could win Champions League right back for sure, you know, because they actually had a summer off, even though it was a lot of time off, but they had a normal transition to their schedule, whatever, that would be in a normal year. You know, Neymar, Mbappe, you know, Roddy, they got some contenders to me, no matter how easy Ligue 1 is or whatever, but with how, if they win the Champions League, to me, you could factor in some of them as contenders for the Ballon d'Or, and it would be unfair, where their stats wouldn't be the same as Robert Lewandowski just piling up the goals, or Karim Benzema piling up the goals, or Cristiano Ronaldo scoring penalty after penalty.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
This goes back to we have this discussion every year with the Ballon d'Or, because no matter who wins it, no matter how they do it, the major issue is it's an annual trophy that's given out in the split between 2 seasons because they look at the yearly amount of body of work, right? Yeah. So I didn't misspeak when I said that they had the same amount as the other leagues, because we've always traditionally thought that when they look at it, it's impossible for them not to factor in the body of work of what somebody did in 2019. So it's a common myth. It's some of the moral stance that they like to say. So when the editor-in-chief says that they only have 2 months of body of work, it's like, you have a full season with a couple of World Cup runs, because the person who won in 2019, was it Virgil or was it Messi?
It was Messi that won 2019. Let me check real quick just to make sure, because we had the debacle of 2018 when Luke Modric won.
Right.
You know, and it was really an insult, honestly, to Lionel Messi, because he should have won that year too.
Yeah, but Modric had such a great World Cup. That was their excuse for trying to say that it was a yearly award.
When he was, Ivan Perisic was really arguably was the best player on that team. But you know, whatever be said or whatever, because the Real Madrid connection and all that, and him winning, you know, and all that. So that's how he was able to luck in, like, to get that award or whatnot. But and you know, Real Madrid lucky into winning that Champions League final when Sergio Ramos concussed Loris Karius and also injured Mo Salah. But that needs to be said, because Liverpool would have won that match to me if both of them were healthy. So, but anyway. But
that's a good argument. I was gonna say that can be argued.
They were playing better than them and whatnot. But yes, Lionel Messi, he just edged out Virgil van Dijk, who sorry, Verge, you had an outstanding season, but it's still sometimes hard to center backs, unless they have tackles, passes, or assists that's recorded, it's hard to really get that gauge. Cristiano Ronaldo, honestly, I think was a little overrated at third place, where it should have been Mane and Salah ahead of him in my mind or whatnot. Then you have Mbappe.
But again, then that goes with the myth of Ronaldo winning, and Virgil clearly for that entire year was from 28, like the impact, right, that he had with Liverpool. And you look at their record from that whole year of 2019, and we're looking back to the January after post-winter break start to how they started the season this year. Like it's not even Messi was amazing, but it's not even close. So that's my first part of like the notion of what it is. And second, obviously the French Sports Illustrated is not going to have their award given out because their league cannot participate in.
Yeah, you're right about that, man. You're right. That's a great point. And I think Messi, people said Lewandowski, who scored the goals this year, been brilliant again. Benzema, who's been revived. Sergio Ramos, who's got 10 goals, but all because of penalties. But, they love Sergio Ramos. They want to put him into the mix or whatever. And then Liverpool again, Virgil van Dijk outstanding. The full collective Liverpool, Salah solid, Mane solid, or whatnot. Alisson Becker doing the same, but goalkeeper is, not going to be at the list like that. But it's still Lionel Messi. I mean, it just really, really is. And then, Ronaldo, but Jerell Mobley of Lazio, who Liverpool needs to buy, to me, or whatever, as a real striker for Firmino if they want to win the title next season, retain their title. Because Firmino's an inconsistent finisher, great playmaker. But
they'll win with Firmino. They don't need it. They honestly don't really need.
I think they need a back. They need a.
His finishing isn't that bad, Andrew, that it's hindering them. The way you're talking about it,
it's good and bad. He can score.
The way you're talking about it is as if it's hindering them, and it's not hindering them.
It's not elite like Lewandowski and Benzema.
But there's also other things that happen in that midfield that hinder them more than Firmino not finishing.
No, but this is the thing, though. This is why I don't give Firmino a pass, James, or whatnot about this, because Benzema does all the things that Firmino does, but he's a better finisher. Like he's really outstanding as Benzema, to the point where this Mike Goodman guy or whatever, who used to work for ESPN FC, even though he was a very, I'm just going to keep real people, whatnot, I don't give a damn. Like he's very mediocre white writer overall, whatever, who just tried to base his whole thing on expected goals. He tried to base his whole thing on expected goals or whatever, when he literally thought that expected goals for Luka Jovic at Eintracht Frankfurt made him already better than Karim Benzema. And I had to tell him, like, what are you talking about? Like, the Bundesliga defending is not at the level of La Liga defending, and it's foolish for you to even make that whole reference like that. And he was hell-bent, thinking that he this is what I'm saying and whatnot, but Benzema showed clearly when Luka Jovic got there, whatever, like, who's been the better forward? Well, Luka Jovic may go back to Eintracht Frankfurt or may go somewhere else, whatever. I hope he doesn't, because I like Luka Jovic. But it's just what it is. So, Benzema, he's outstanding with that. He's really revived himself where, maybe it's done him good that he hasn't played for France, even though it's a crime that he wasn't, on France's World Cup team, whatever, and they would have won more comfortably in that tournament,
I don't think so.
What you mean to tell me Benzema's not better than Olivier Giroud and literally with Mbappe, Mbappe, Benzema, Lord, I mean that. Griezmann, that front three. I don't
think the thing about it, again, like we're talking about, the chemistry of the three-headed. When you're attacking, the chemistry really is the big thing. And he possesses a lot of qualities. And some of Giroud's inconsistencies allow for other people to be able to be special, if that makes any sense. The chemistry with that, because Benzema is an all-world scorer, and he's gonna try his best to finish, right? So it's not gonna. The system that you're gonna be playing is gonna be a little different.
the reason why I say, what's up, Lindo, by the way, on the IG live, the good homie Lindo. Lindo, I'm going to perform on your next live, man. I got you, brother. We just got to time it all out. What I would leave on this low with Benzema is the fact that him being, he could be a legitimate playmaker and attacking midfielder, James, because he truly wears number 10. He wore number 10 at Lyon, before he went to Real, and he truly is all about making that pass too, just as much as he's scoring. That's what makes him such the tremendous number 9. Where even Ronaldo in his prime was just amazing, like a Brazilian Ronaldo as his finisher. But Ronaldo wasn't known as like a passer. He just was like Ronaldinho or Rivaldo, pass, be the playmaker. Benzema is the truly complete forward, where he really knows when to just say, I'm just gonna score this or whatever. And it's like a LeBron factor. He knows when he's gonna score, but then he knows when he's gonna then pass.
I think he's a little bit more. I think you're giving him a little. He can pass. He can make the pass, but I think his mentality is to finish.
Well,
that's why he's having such a good year. Is because honestly, I think Cristiano Ronaldo hindered him a bit.
And that's the key. That's the key. He let Ronaldo shine.
Right. So he didn't have to think about that anymore. It was just 100% let's finish. Whereas like what I'm saying is that French team was an all-star team where it's like you needed someone who wasn't thinking about the finish. Everybody just you need the game to play. Right? It reminded me a lot of those Brazil teams with Ronaldinho where they wanted him to finish. And he's like, that's not me. Right? Like he's like,
well, they truly were an all-star team, Brazil. With Jerell, even though he's a fantastic global player, but the thing about it is that he is just not an elite forward because he has a lot of talent,
right?
But he's not consistent as like a finisher. With Benzema, he gives you that team play that Jerell does, but also he's really one of the best. And I mean,
but what I'm saying, Andrew, is what I'm saying is the mentality is realistic, the psychology of what you're doing. Right, so he has the ability to do it. The question is, does he want to do it? Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he has, and I agree with you. He does have the ability, but you're talking about Karim Benzema, who's just spent 3 to 4 years with Cristiano Ronaldo, and now you're gonna put him on this all-star squad with Pogba, Griezmann, and Mbappe, and we now want you not to finish, but you're gonna pass off to those guys again.
Well, I think for me, I think for sure that's just, he really has qualities. But the person who, no question, has those same qualities and everything is Lionel Messi. And the guy, all he just did in a down season, which it wasn't a down season, at all. Because the man is going.
Can I have a down season like this at my job?
20 goals, 20 assists, first player ever to do La Liga, despite them trying to hope that Benzema was going to top the whole scoring charts or whatever. They tried their best, but he finishes the 7th time as the top goal scorer in La Liga, the Spanish Premier. We'll throw in La Liga, Santander, the league, or whatnot, because they call themselves the league, literally, or whatever, because they think highly of themselves over there in España. And, I mean, the guy just is sensational still, too. He's the GOAT for me, obviously, regardless of if he ever wins a senior national title with Argentina, because he did win the Olympics. I know people, they get mad, but he did win the Olympics, and his team has let him down in 3.
Well, but that's another. Messi is a great example of what I was talking about with the Benzema thing, right? Messi, his role changes so much when he gets to his international club. His role becomes so much. And the thing about makes Argentina so sad is they have quality players. Like they have really, really, really good players. But it reminds me of that Ronaldinho, where Ronaldinho is so good, and then you're watching him on these teams, and you're just like, why is everyone else playing like they don't have to play to their full capacity? And so, yeah, but I agree with you. To me, there aren't many people. I think the 3-headed monster, as far as the Ballon d'Or for this year, depending on how the restart season starts and how Champions League finishes out, they might, because at least domestically, they hindered themselves, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Yes.
they were so good that there was no, honestly, if you were doing a most valuable player of the league, a person from Liverpool probably is not going to win that for the Premier League. And Messi's season, like you said, was supposed to be a down season, and he still put up incredible numbers. Lewandowski, I love what he does, but that team in the Bundesliga, it leaves a nasty taste in my mouth.
Oh, man.
I loved when he was doing what he was doing when he was with Dortmund. It was so cool. It was so nice. It was so refreshing to see them like in a back and forth with each other. And then Byrne was like, okay, see him? We're going to take him. And now, because we need goal scoring. And I'm like, you had
Mario Gomez at the time. So
you need goal scoring? Excuse me? At that point, Robin hadn't retired. It was like they had Lam was still pretty good. He wasn't as moving, and his play has dropped off so much because of Lewandowski. So it's like,
yeah, something that's it's really something. But it's just something where Bayern I'm telling you, Serge Gnabry with how he's going, he could really put himself in session. And
he's amazing.
Well, it's just amazing that he could not get a game at West Brom. He struggled with Tony Pulis after Arsenal was like, well, we got too many talents. And all of a sudden he just went to Hoffenheim and just revived and just was like, it's all about that playing time with some talents, whatever, and just being in the right place, the right mentality. And he could put himself in that discussion next year, Serge Gnabry, for sure, if he has games like he does against Tottenham and just as explosive as he is. But another guy, and this is what we're going to pivot to, real quick, of that Bayern team that could put himself in the Ballon d'Or discussions in the future. Maybe could finish top 10 this year, honestly. Well, if there was a vote. Is Alphonso Davies, the left back of Bayern Munich and of Vancouver Whitecaps, paying whatever. And, this leads
he's North American. That's the way I like to talk about him. He's North. If you want to claim him, he's North American. That's how we can claim him.
Well, specifically for, I got a lot of Canadian, homies and homegirls specifically, where I just got to make sure I respect the border or whatnot. And it's just something where this is a fascinating discussion, even though this is something that could easily go to, it was easy to go to him. But CONCACAF Player of the Year, like of all three, fitting enough, North American countries, has three really good candidates for this and whatnot. Because, we looked, seeing Alphonso Davies and then, of course, Christian Pulisic here. And that's, not talking about, how Weston McKennie was still solid, but Schalke was just horrible this season. And David Wagner, just not that good of a manager. He really messed up Weston McKennie. But and Tyler Adams, he was hurt, but he's back in Leipzig, whatever. He's going to be crucial to them in the Champions League, Tyler Adams, for sure, because he's really good. And then Gio Reyna, amazing season. Sensio, who's really a special talent all the way, where he's already arguably better than his father, and his father was pretty damn good. And, his mom was pretty good too. And for El Tree, a guy that's really surprised me so much, whatever, in terms of how he's really bounced back from how he just shot. I was surprised that he fell at Atletico Madrid because he was really the perfect forward for Diego Simeone. But he has shined for Wolves all the way now. Is Raul Jimenez, and he's looked like the guy he's looked like the guy that developed under Club America. The shout out to Angelo Mejiras, wherever you're at, because you're Chivas USA. We need to get him on there, whatever. But I can pass it out. That's inside stuff for my style. That's he's some people, even though I'm still mad with him about a lot of things. But in terms of just the other stuff, that's personal. But personal in terms of we miss you, man. So anyway, it's something where he's been outstanding. I mean, he's been part of how Wolves have been great, how Nuno Espirito Santo's done a tremendous job again, another season. I mean, the guy, he always had the ability, but with how bad it happened for him at Atletico Madrid, I was kind of concerned about this move to Wolves because I was saying to myself, well, Atletico should have really worked for him. And Simeone, he's the perfect Simeone for it. in the mode Diego Costa, but then can do his own thing without the dirty stuff. And he has a lot of ability. He's like the modern day Jared Borghetti, if you remember him. Where Borghetti was at the middle of the real major drama of the USA-Mexico rivalry when we had to when we were fighting for legitimacy against Mexico, whatever, on the world stage, and then beat them and everything. So it's just something where he's just been outstanding this season. I mean, he's also a guy, even if he doesn't have much pace, but he's a quality finisher with his right foot, can head obviously, decent with his left, not bad with his left foot. I mean, the guy's had a remarkable season.
What I think was good with him is, again, the psychology. When you're at Atletico, there is a feeling of dread, right? There's a feeling of I can be replaced. Replacement is around the corner.
Good point.
Right? Whereas when you go to Wolves, even if they get relegated, you still have your job.
Yep, you still playing.
Like, look at Ivanisevic in Fulham, right? Like, he's like, listen, I'm going to stay here. I could have left once we got relegated and then sat on the bench and had inconsistent times and be a rotational player. But that's what it looks like. Jimenez plays like a guy who's confident that every day his name is going to be in the lineup.
Yep.
If Wolves is in a major time, and I think that's the greatest thing that Nuno has done, which I think he kind of took from Leicester a little bit, which is the consistency of the line, having the talent, and then taking away all of these psychological elements that might impact them at the bigger clubs.
Preach it, brother. And then, so Jimenez has been outstanding and really, to me, could establish himself more and more in terms of discussions where he may even get some talk about Liverpool if he has another season like that next season, or even a bigger club, Raul Jimenez, no doubt about it. And in the normal year, he would certainly be the clear front runner for CONCACAF Player of the Year. But there's two ahead of him right now or whatnot. Well, actually, you know what? Jimenez, you can say, is in second place or whatnot. Because Christian Pulisic, even though he's been outstanding late, especially since the restart, and he was getting that way towards, when the new year had started, it's again where he still had to establish himself at Chelsea. He had to stay healthy, and you being the ultimate Chelsea fan that you are down here in Boston, that you are, or whatnot, since the days of Didier Drogba on the scene, it's something where, he's been obviously outstanding, and now he's truly looked like a taller version at times of Eden Hazard, which I never thought, at least in his first season, and had questions on if he was going to be able to do that, where how disappointing his final season at Dortmund was, where he just, wasn't even a guaranteed starter.
Well, I was going to say, I think at Dortmund, they were committed to moving on to someone else. And again, that goes back to my point about Jimenez, right? It's like,
true.
You get there, you have upside, but realistically, when you start hearing the rumors about you not being worth the money a month after you sign, it's like, and that's what I think is harsh about European football that a lot of people don't understand, is just how hard it can be for that transition to happen. The expectations are so high that if you don't perform, and the money is so big with those clubs, like I said, replacement is legit. They'll be talking about how they're going to replace you, and they'll keep you there for like 8 months. Like, and once the season's out, like, look at Sane. We knew Sane was gone in January, and he still had to sit on the city, and do whatever it was. And I think Pulisic suffered from that as well. It was like, okay, we want you to do this. I don't know if it was Sancho. I don't know what it was. All I know is
Sancho. It was Bruno Larson. And I just feel that he also just wasn't healthy, and him still being young and that feeling that whole thing. I just think that he felt a little bit of pressure of being, I need to establish myself as a 20-goal scorer. Jadon Sancho's right behind me, and whatnot. And then he's also seeing like Leon Bailey do his thing at Bayern Leverkusen at the time, a little bit. Then he's seeing Wesley McKennie rise. I think there was just a lot of things, with him that last season. And then it was just the fact that, then he got sold to Chelsea, it just was a thing that he really needed to get that whole comfortability about himself because he wants it so bad. He really, really does. I mean, you could tell Christian Pulisic wanted it so bad when the embarrassment that was us not qualifying for the World Cup final, and how he was just like crying, like it was just like he had lost like his whole like childhood, his parents and whatnot, because he couldn't, go to the World Cup at 18 or 19. So, and this is why I'm always about 32 teams at the World Cup and how Qatar's 2020 or 2022 is probably gonna be the last great World Cup or whatnot. A chance to be the last great World Cup because there's too many teams with the 48 or whatever because of drama.
Yeah, too many teams to qualify.
But they money grab, as we all know. It's just dumb. But he's just really, for him to see him now be one of the better players in the restart, and how if he stays healthy, he really could be someone that could be a true 15, 20 goal scorer and really become like truly one of the better players in the world,
Mm-hmm.
He really has that potential now to me to push on and do that. And
but again, I think the key is if Frank does not make it feel like someone's like it.
I think he needs to though. I think he needs to, James, because
I don't think he needs that pressure. I think his skill set is good enough that to let it be. Just let it be.
I think the reason why I said it though is because if you're among the best, you don't feel that pressure at all, and that's why he's at Chelsea where he knows Callum Hudson-Odoi is still trying to get back. Whatever, Callum Hudson-Odoi is still pretty special talent. Where that to me is right there is the guy that if he.
But I think they can use them differently. I think you could use him on the outside more. You could use Pulisic more central. I think personally, what happens is I feel like these younger players who you do put kind of that pressure on, what ends up happening is they go to lesser teams and then they boost those lesser teams because they don't need, like, yeah, I know that you have another central midfielder, but you don't need to be grooming him to be my replacement and I'm 21 and he's 20. Mm-hmm. Like that's disrespectful.
Yeah, it is,
And it's not doing anything. You're clearly giving the 20-year-old the advantage because they got nothing to lose, right? They're coming out and playing freely because their job is secure because they don't have anyone after me.
True, man. And one of those young players that really didn't have to feel like he had to go to a smaller club when a lot of people thought that he did when he first got there is Alphonso Davies. And, it's just so remarkable, like what he's done. And this is what I've seen him in MLS and how dynamic of an explosive talent he was, but it was always that thing where we saw with Freddie Adu, because Alphonso Davies, second youngest player in the league or whatnot, and fitting enough Ghana blood or whatnot, or at least, actually Liberian blood, but then going to Ghana with his parents through the Liberian War or whatnot. The guy is just really, so we're thinking, okay, Bayern wants to be ahead of the curve. They're like, oh, let's be sophisticated. Let's get the Canadian top prospect or whatnot. And this great kid who's 16 on the MLS scene, all right? You get him for a good price or whatnot. See how it goes, but let's be ahead of the curve or whatnot because Bayern went and got the A-League's best young talent, overall as well, too. And like the good sir, let me pop up his name in terms of their global brand because Bayern, you got to respect it with Bayern. They truly respect all these leagues. They respect every league or whatnot, James. Because they want to get.
That's what I told you. They leave a bad taste in my mouth because they'll poach talent from anywhere.
Hey, but bad taste.
They will poach it from and even if it's a position they don't need. We have somebody who's going to be there for 20 years. Nope, poach that talent.
But the bad taste to me, James, is more the fact that when they get it from fellow Bundesliga side.
Yes. No, I respect what they did with Alphonso Davies, and I loved it. Me and you were talking offline about that, about how when I watched him live going to one of the Revs games, me and my brother-in-law just reflected and were like, oh, he is different. Like, he was one of those dudes, like when we saw Miguel Almiron as well, when he played for Atlanta United. It was like, when you watch them play in MLS, it was different. It was a completely different level a completely different level.
Yes, it was. It really was. You know, and it's something where I fear, you know, still MLS, you know, it's still something where Freddie Adu, he should have had a better chance at Benfica. Where Freddie Adu was doing his thing just like Angel Di Maria, and he got screwed because he was American. And I thought that that I really did think that that there was gonna be that still problems for him, even at the beginning where they were, especially when he was coming over there in an attacking position, you know, coming as a right winger, you know, and coming on his left foot, and you know, you're thrust into being a top signing for Bayern, one of the best in the world, where it's like, okay, now you have to show us off the bat that you are at least a 7-8 goal scorer, you know, for us or whatever, and be the next like Robin. So,
to be quite honest, I wasn't surprised because he showed the talent. He never proved it, but to me, the talent was like the talent was there, and it wasn't a mentality thing. It was kind of just like, oh, okay, that's the way I felt. I don't know, when I watched him and when I heard he signed to Bayern, I was like, oh, finally, like somebody actually is taking the chance, and I wasn't surprised to see him be integrated well with them because he had been doing it at such a high level for so long. Even though I do crap on MLS a lot, like when you see him against top talent MLS teams and he was still holding, like at the end of the day, football is going to be football. And if he's holding his own against these top level teams and still dribbling around, you know, the Red Bulls of the world and the NYFCs and the Galaxies of the world and the Seattle Sounders of the world, and he's making them look foolish too.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, they're mid-tier, mid-table clubs, right? So if they're mid-table clubs, he can do that against them. He can do that against mid-table Bundesliga teams.
Yeah, I'm going to close on this note. And Sapri Singh, by the way, the New Zealand player, is who Bayern got from the A-League, who's actually been very good for Bayern Munich too in the reserves. And he's only 21, so he's the guy that I, forgot to was mentioning or referring to, who was the A-League prodigy player that they went and bought Bayern, because A-League, MLS, they even will get in the England lose overall. The one thing I say with Alphonso Davies is the fact that he, like David Alaba, they went from front to back. Now, David Alaba, I feel that's, diminished his career because he was supposed to be that attacking midfield scoring goal star for Bayern when he came up, but he sacrificed and was the original left back. And he's been instrumental in being a good mentor to a mentee for Alphonso Davies, where I hopefully will interview him about that. Don't give a damn about Alphonso Davies. But it's something where for him to really establish himself like he has, James, as a left back overall, and it's something where I'm saying this as like, with time constraints on me, because then my friend Anna, whatever, like literally that stuff's coming through, but I'm like, I got to finish over my boy James, whatever, and we really got we can upload this one real quick, literally on YouTube. He just has been so outstanding. The Chelsea tie, considering the Champions League was one of them or whatnot. And to do this where this is his second position, and it's so hard for a attacking player to just do the basics in defending, and to do this at 19, and to be so good where I really do hope that he's able to still play with Bayern, his main position, because David Alaba, I feel, deserved to have played his main position. And I say sometimes, well, maybe that could be some systematic racism overall, where the black players go to back to front, where you got Joshua Kimmich, he's going from right back to now. He's busy, like, playmaking in the center or whatever right now, But then, in Serge Gnabry, he's only able to do that because, they bought him, so that's why he's not moving back, whatever. But I just feel that there's certain strengths. I just feel that there's certain things, whatever. Like, Bastian Schweinsteiger, he started off as a winger. Like, he's supposed to be like Ronaldo, but then they realized, well, he's not that great of a goal scorer, but he's perfect to be a full box-to-box midfielder that can do it all, whatever. And let's just say Gareth Barry still is having nightmares or whatever about what happened 10 years ago, although Frank Lampard did get robbed and England did score that goal, and the game would have changed like that in that round of 16 down, I think, in Blue Fountain, part of South Africa. But Alphonso Davies, man, it's just to see him dominate, like he is really dominant. It's not just him going for it like Trent Alexander-Arnold. The thing that I see with Trent Alexander-Arnold that's sometimes a problem is him being in position in terms of when he's having to then when someone's going back at him, he has to defend and whatnot. Alphonso Davies, I mean, it's been so impressive where he's not flawless with that, but he's really good at winning balls back or whatever, and just he's always going to stifle an attack. I mean, they recorded him as the fastest player ever in Bundesliga history in terms of speed. I was like, what? Like, really? I was like, what?
Yeah. Have you watched him play? Like,
Yeah.
It's so amazing to see him like defensively. There was a game where they had him playing in the midfield, and I think Alaba was playing left back.
Yeah.
And I think he overlapped Alaba, who was forward, and he was playing the midfield, overlapped him to defend. That was the first time I'd ever seen anyone get back faster than the back.
In fact, let me get to this real quick because Philip, he basically referenced this or whatnot. This is when the Men in Blaze talked about this. Well, Thomas Mueller, he talked about this overall with Alphonso Davies, and I'm going to show it to you whatnot in terms of his incredible pace, and I'm going to get to it because this was where I was talking about, where I'm going to show you real quick before we close out. He really, let me get to it because it was something where I couldn't believe it. I was like, considering the many fast players in Bundesliga, it's something where you just need to see it to believe, because I always knew that he was incredibly fast. But Alphonso Davies is like, trying to be almost like Andre DeGrasse. Oh, well, I mean, that's the fastest man in Canada right now, the great Andre DeGrasse or whatnot. But I mean, Alphonso Davies, he could have ran track if he wanted to. I think he could have really ran track, because he is just incredible pace. And let me see if I hope I was able to get it in time. Damn. I'm gonna see about it real quick if it's on YouTube, the Men in Blazers clip where they showed it. But he on social media, don't even need that. Like, it's just something where his pace is really like, man, like he is like Roberto Carlos fast, like and then even faster, like a little bit. He's one of the fastest players the sport I've ever seen, really. He really is. And it's just a testament to how that kid is just really special talent who really wants it bad, who's like, I'm here to help Canada really be, we said it in the Men in Blaze interview, like we have so much potential, and they do. And this is before they have, this ridiculous 2026 3-country World Cup if it goes down schedule. And I mean, it's just something where it just, despite the great seasons that Pulisic and Raul Jimenez has had, I think that it would be unfair if it's even a debate that is Alphonso Davies is CONCACAF Player of the Year, because the guy is just truly, he's literally the best left back in the world right now, on his second position, James. And that's something even one time, and I agree with Tell Torman on that he's not annoying about, is the fact that no one could see that coming. Not even Alphonso Davies, not even Bayern Munich or whatnot. Well, he was just supposed to be, he was literally the replacement for Lucas Hernandez, and I think it was Lucas Hernandez and Oladapo. Yeah, I think, Lucas Hernandez was supposed to be the starter at left back, and he's a great talent too. And it's just something where it's just been outstanding from Alphonso Davies, and something that I couldn't foresee.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I wasn't surprised that he was doing well, but like you said, how good he is, there's moments where I'm just like, dang, like I wasn't expecting that this early. That's the way I look at it. Yep. I was like, I knew you were good, but dang, like crushing Bundesliga good? Wasn't predicting that.
And now, I mean, having in his back pocket, now Pulisic got hurt, and that I think he didn't play in that first leg, if I can remember. So that would be fascinating again to see, because he did have, he didn't have to defend Pulisic when they played each other, and when Canada beat the U.S. in that qualifier or whatnot, in Toronto. But that would be fascinating to see for sure, because Chelsea just gonna go full tilt, whatever, down 3-0, as you know, when that gets resumed, and that would be very fascinating to see. I will say how that going. I mean, Bayern, they really is Bayern and PSG and City. I'd be shocked if they don't, if none of those three teams win the Champions League. I'd be shocked, and I think that's what's going to be. I thought City was going to be the case, but now I keep on thinking that maybe it will be that it will be PSG. But as I'm saying, I keep getting Alaba. Alaba was still the first left back, over Bayern and whatnot, along with Luke Hernandez. And now they move Alaba to center back, and now he's just flourishing their center back. Both saying, I'm telling you, man, it's Bayern. They know how to use their black players. Let's just say that they really do. They really truly do. Well, James, do you have any last words on this great second episode, good sir?
Nope. Be safe. Actually, I just said nope, but yes, be safe, stay safe, be well.
It's been a pleasure, great sir, James Eddy. This is Jerell Jones. Most importantly for you all of Americans in great soccer, we will definitely have this recorded not only on YouTube, on iTunes, on Spotify even. I make Spotify that. It's going to go down. This is something that's really growing. This is something that we believe is really something that you don't hear in other soccer broadcasts, specifically with two black individuals, black Americans talking soccer. You don't find that too often in talking soccer in a way that's not pandering, but really knowing what's going down overall. So we thank y'all. We'll see you later this week where we'll talk about the dramatic finish of Survival Sunday or season finale Sunday of the Premier League. Who will finish top four between Chelsea, Manchester United, and Leicester City? And then who will survive the dreaded drop between Bournemouth, Norwich, and Norwich has been gone.
I would say Norwich is gone.
Yellow jerseys. Team Bournemouth, Watford, and Aston Villa. Who will survive the drop after Aston Villa's dramatic victory today over Arsenal, where they almost lost the win, and it just by the square inches they were able to get the victory. So thank you, Lord, once again. Take it easy, everybody. Let's be out. God bless. See you next time on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Try to frame you on a bogus ass charge.